Hi, so today I want to take up English pronunciation as a follow-up to the post that I did on phonics and also on the difference between phonetics and phonics. So I've had a few requests asking for a post on pronunciation. Now I do find that a little odd as a request just because there are millions upon millions of posts on social media by various people explaining or demonstrating how to pronounce English words. However, it suddenly occurred to me that there is something omitted or missing in the majority of these posts, or at least the ones that I've seen. And it's the fact that the presenter, many of them who are not English themselves, but they're foreigners, teaching how to pronounce English, and in many cases quite wrongly. I mean, even I'm British and I say some words wrongly and I realize it when I watch my own posts. But anyway, what there is there's no dictionaries. They don't use dictionaries. And the one place you go to for pronunciation is the English dictionary, in the same way that if you were going to do French, Spanish, German, whatever, you get your large dictionaries of that language, and they should have the pronunciation, because that is the definition in itself of a dictionary. And a dictionary, so I thought, well, let's have a look at it. Here, Webster's. Obviously, dictionary is the book of words that not only describes their meaning, but also how they are pronounced. So correct dictionary should have pronunciation key. Small dictionaries don't always have pronunciation, unfortunately. But it does come from the word diction, which is the way that you talk, the way that you pronounce the words. And it comes from the Latin dicere, which means to point out, to say. To point out, to say in words. And that is a dictionary. And "ari," the suffix "ari" here in that case just simply means a person or thing connected with, and actually it gives here the example dictionary. So it's a book connected with words and pronunciation. And here I will show you a lovely example. This is an 1854 pronouncing dictionary. It's actually an English dictionary. Unfortunately, it's falling to pieces, which is a bit of a shame because it is old, but you can see the date here. And it will have pronunciation. Now, pronunciation is usually represented using the phonetic alphabet, but the key thing is at the start of a dictionary that has pronunciation, there should be a description of the symbols used. So this is a very, for example, this is a very simple dictionary. It's called Jolly Dictionary, and this is the Jolly Phonics system to teach reading, and they have a beautiful dictionary. But even in there, they have the key. So they have a whole page with the symbols used for pronunciation. Actually, they've got a couple of pages. This is a bit unusual because normally the key is shorter, but this is especially to teach reading for children. So this has it, but let's just take, for example, the Oxford Student Dictionary, just a straightforward dictionary, and you open the page, and towards the beginning you will always have the pronunciation key, which tells you how to pronounce, and this is based on the International Phonetic Alphabet. Although I think there must be, well, I know there are different types of phonetic alphabets because it does differ from dictionary to dictionary. So you just, whatever dictionary you have, you look at what the key is for your dictionary. And what's interesting is all the dictionaries usually, although that one doesn't, but most dictionaries, like this Webster's, on each page will then have, for example, here they've got it at the bottom. Each page of the dictionary at the bottom will have the pronunciation key, which is quite interesting. And here in this Webster, the pronunciation key is actually quite small. It's right at the beginning of the dictionary, and it tells you exactly how to pronounce the word. Now, the difference is for American dictionaries, the pronunciation will be slightly different from English. So, for example, we say to walk, and the Americans say to walk. This is my American accent. Talk, talk. You know, that kind of stuff. Fall. I struggle. So you will have those pronunciation there in that Webster's. And I want to show you something else. Now, in the pronunciation key, and I think this is something that foreign people may have difficulty with, there is something called a schwa. I'm going to show you what it is. And I put it on the board there for convenience. It's actually spelled schwa. It's a Hebrew word, but it is in an English dictionary because it's a little symbol. It's just a mark used in writing, you know, like you put over a letter, or various marks in certain languages. They have also some other marks that go on the letter that changes the sound. So it's a schwa. And in English, you will see the schwa in the phonetic alphabet used in English. it looks like an upside down E. And what it is, let me just give you the exact definition. It's an unstressed vowel. And an unstressed vowel. So vowel, what is a vowel? Right? Let's just go back to the basic. The vowel is a sound which is made by the vocal cords. Okay, so in English it's A, E, I, O, U. Right? These are the 5 vowels of the English language. So A, E, I, O, U. That's made with the vocal cords. Every other letter in the English alphabet are a consonant. And a consonant is a sound, or the letter that represents that sound, which is made by the mouth or the nose. So B, K, D, P, M. It doesn't come from the vocal cords. It comes from the mouth and the nose. Of course, when you say the letter B, C, D, then you're using a vowel with the consonant, okay? But that's what it is. So a schwa is an unstressed vowel. And it gives examples here because we have that a lot. We have so many words which have that neutral sound, that neutral vowel. And I mean, does it call it just neutral? Yeah, unstressed neutral vowel. That will do, that will do. So the schwa here is the same as A in about, or E in taken, I in pencil, O in lemon, U in circus. So the vowel is not really stressed. Sir, not sir, but the cuss, circus, lemon, pencil. It's not really, you know, you can't really hear an I. Taken, you don't really hear an E. And same as about, ago, around. It's a unstressed vowel, and it's called a schwa, and it's represented like that in dictionaries. Okay? Now, the other thing that you want to know in dictionaries is the way the pronunciation is done. I'm going to show you an example. You use the phonetic alphabet, but you also need to understand how the word is broken down, and that's broken down in syllables. And a syllable is simply a voice sound which is done with one articulation. And so that one motion of the, you know, the mouth, for example, well, what else can I describe it? Yeah, articulation, one whole motion of the body that makes one sound. So a simple example would be cat. Cat is done with one articulation. It's one syllable. Now, a syllable on its own doesn't mean that it's a word. It could just be a sound. But as it happens, cat is just one syllable. And then you can have cattle. That's 2 articulation. Cattle. So there's two changes, 2 different articulation of the mouth. So you've got 2 syllables. Or you could have Florida. So you have Florida. Then you have 3 syllables. So in the pronunciation keys, in the pronunciation section in dictionaries, it will be split into the syllables and their stress, and how, you know, which syllable do you stress. So in the examples I gave you here, in about, taken, pencil, lemon, circus, all those 5 words are 2 syllables. They have 2 syllables. Right, and I'll give you an example here. So we have, this is to arrange something. Yeah, to arrange, to put into order. Can you still hear me? And the way you will see it here, you'll have a schwa, and you have the second syllable, range. So, you know, and you will have a little symbol here. Can you see it? It looks like an apostrophe, but it's not an apostrophe. It's a little symbol. I don't actually know what it's called, believe it or not. But it tells you that the stress is going to be on this syllable. So what you see here is you have to arrange. Yeah, to arrange something. Can you arrange the wedding? And then we have orange. And here the stress is on the first syllable. Oh, orange. And that's how it's split. You see? Nice and simple. Don't know if you could hear me there. I should put a microphone. Anyway, so that's the simplicity of it. So you have to understand the schwa. You have to understand the vowel, the consonant, the syllable, and realize at the beginning of a dictionary, a proper dictionary that will have the pronunciation key and pronunciation for each word, you will then, so the way it looks, by the way, because you haven't seen it, sorry, let me just show you there. If you look here, you will see next to each entry word, you will see the pronunciation, okay? And it's in brackets usually, and it will give you the symbols and it will give you the pronunciation. So this is all you need to know. These are the basics, and you use a dictionary. And okay, well, the internet, you can also go on the internet and you can say, what is a pronunciation for that word? And then usually the little microphone comes up and you can hear it. However, the simplest way of doing it, the simplicity of it, is you go in a dictionary. That's why dictionaries are so important among everything else. You go in a dictionary, you learn the key, and you can learn exactly how to pronounce the word and where to put the accent. And as a final little note, because I know this comes up often, I was doing a live with another account, Reading Made Easy, and that was a common question. Simple things in English, like woman, women. And many speakers of foreign language who are trying to learn English can get a little bit concerned, or they don't understand why is it woman, and then the other why is it woman, and then the plural is women, even though it's written women. And when we come to those situations in English language, as I've explained before, this is purely related to the history of the word and the etymology of the word. Because in fact, women originally, or woman, was actually in Old English was called wifman, like this. And that was a woman. That was a female human being, wifman. Obviously, it's not wifman anymore, but the point is the pronunciation has remained that way. So it's a historical reason why the pronunciation is that way. And rather than get all upset about it, the best way is you go into a dictionary and it will tell you exactly how to pronounce it. And if it's a little bit different from the usual way that you would say those letters, you know, look more into it and recognize that there will be a historical, etymological reason why that word is pronounced that way.